Most people won't have heard of the name, but we run all of your favorite theme parks like Alton Towers, Legoland, as well as attractions like London Eye, Madame Tussauds, and Sea Life Centre. Get yourself in front of your customer as much as possible. Engage with them, ask them what they like and dislike, see what's working for them and what's not working for them. I think that global standardization is really useful to a point, but localization always wins out.
Zack.
Hi.
Welcome to the Marketing Freaks podcast.
Thank you.
So we're going to be talking about your career, your work with Merlin. But before we do that, let's just give us an overview as to who you are and what you've done. And you absolutely have to include a little bit of information about your time as a professional skier, because that was a nice little nugget before we started.
So I guess first of all, I'm Global Head of Optimization and Delivery for Merlin Entertainments. Merlin Entertainments being the second largest entertainment provider in the world. Most people won't have heard of the name, but we run all of your favorite theme parks like Alton Towers, Legoland, as well as attractions like London Eye, Madame Tussauds, and Sea Life Centre. Now, I consider myself to be a marketing generalist. I've done a lot of different things. As you said, I started out as a professional skier / ski bum living in France, doing a lot of freestyle skiing, all that sort of thing. And soon after that, I started a ski magazine and had to do all of the bits and pieces to do with that, including the marketing. And it was the marketing that stuck for me. And through my career, I've done all sorts, starting out with print media, a lot of digital, e-commerce, data analysis, data science. All of these different things have kind of taken different parts of my life in different roles in different kinds of organizations, from multinational corporations in travel to education to charity sectors. And it's left me as quite a general marketer that kind of covers a lot of different space, but largely now in tech and digital, thanks to a career as a computer programmer.
Merlin Entertainments is, as we were chatting before, weren't we? In some ways, it's an extremely established, well-known, well-loved brand in the UK, and in other ways it's not, because actually it's the parks that are the brands, or the public-facing brands, and most people would associate Merlin, if they do it with anything customer-facing, it's the passes, right? So how does that work internally, and from a marketing perspective, when you're working for the group, but the group's not the brand, and the parks are the brands? Yeah, talk me through that.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. Merlin Entertainments is a hugely established company, but we have grown from a collection of really strong brands, really strong attractions that people know and people love. And we have relied heavily on that. It's difficult when you have an overarching brand that people don't know, in how you start to establish that and get people to know it, and why, having a reason for doing that. You'll have noticed from my introduction there, I kind of have to explain through exactly what it is and highlight some of those key attractions that people just would never know are Merlin attractions. London Eye is one of the best examples. Everyone knows about London Eye. Very few people will know who run it. How do we deliver some kind of value to the customer by having an overarching brand? Well, for me personally, knowing that people love these individual attractions, if you have a great time at Chessington, then we want to be able to say, hey, you enjoyed Chessington. We have all of these other brands. We do equally good work there. You can have amazing times in those places as well. It's also a part of a life cycle, because our different attractions will work for people at different stages in their lives. We have in Florida, we have a Peppa Pig theme park, which is perfect for young kids. And when they get a little bit older, then maybe Legoland is a fit. For teenagers, Thorpe Park is a great place. We get a lot of late teens in there. So taking that journey through Merlin attractions, you need to understand Merlin attractions, understand everything that's a part of it. So that's something we're actually starting to take steps towards doing now is being more vocal with the Merlin Entertainments brand. As you mentioned, the Merlin Annual Pass is very, very prevalent in the UK for those people who do visit our attractions a lot. But we don't do a similar pass outside of the UK. So the Merlin brand outside of the UK really isn't well known at all. And so a lot of people don't understand how large of a company we are, that we are a big global company operating all across the world with hundreds of attractions.
Also, the circumstances or environments in which you're marketing or operating as Merlin are entirely different, aren't they? Because in the UK, you own or operate all the major parks and a lot of the major attractions. Whereas in the US, you're saying in Florida, you've got Legoland, but then you're up against Universal Studios and all the big kind of classic Florida theme parks. So how do you structure that? So first off, how do you structure that from a team perspective? And secondly, how do you make sure that you're not, or how do you make sure that when you're going into a new market that you're dealing with it appropriately from a competition point of view?
Again, great question. We're a UK-based company, so we have a lot of assets in the UK. And our primary issue there is when we're bringing a new attraction in or trying to target or drive business to an individual attraction. Here, it's about how do we not cannibalize our existing business from a different attraction. That's really easy to do, and this is a big problem for most multinational companies. I've had it in previous roles. It's how do you grow your pie as a whole? How do you bring people in from others? So in the UK, our competitive set is not necessarily just attractions, but it's any other leisure activity. How do we compete with a day at the seaside, and how do we compete with going to the cinema rather than going on the London Eye? It's trying to understand how we're working in that broader market. And as you say, in places like Florida is a very extreme example where we have a Legoland theme park. We have a couple of other smaller attractions there, but we're up against the big guys, Universal and Disney, and that is a completely different game. So there, part of what we're doing is trying to make our presence known, make the value offering to the customer known, but also, as is the case in Florida as a whole, it's how do you tie on to people's trips to some of these other attractions. So you'll get a lot of people who will go to Florida, go to Disney, and to Universal, and how do we get Legoland on there as well? Then we have other markets like Japan and Korea, where we have single parks in those countries competing against all of the other attractions that they have. This is why we need that localization, and that's how we need to structure those teams. So we do have local people in those markets managing the marketing there, so that they know how to target against their competitive set. They have that market knowledge to be able to do that.
So boots on the ground, in your view, is very much the answer to that challenge.
I think it is. I think that global standardization is really useful to a point, but localization always wins out, especially in markets that are considerably different to the UK. The more different it is, the more you need the local knowledge.
What would your one big piece of advice be for someone who is running marketing in-house, they're looking to stay relevant, looking to push things forward? What's your one big piece of advice for people?
That's easy. It's follow the customer all the time. So get yourself in front of your customer as much as possible. Engage with them, ask them what they like and dislike, see what's working for them and what's not working for them, and then cater everything you do around how you deliver the best experience. Loyalty is a thing that gets talked about a lot, and the best way to get customer loyalty is be really good at giving them what they want, and they'll come back.
Awesome. Well, look, Zack, thank you so much. Thanks for making the time to kind of come on the podcast and talk kind of marketing, talk theme parks. I'm definitely going to get to Thorpe Park this year and try the new Hyperion. Is it Hyperion or Hyperon? Hyperia.
I am absolutely going to do the same.
It looks terrifying, but brilliant.
Yeah. I've not been scared by a theme park ride for a long time, and I think this one might do it for me.
Excellent. All right. Well, look, thank you so much, Zach, and thank you for everyone for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Wicked.